Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a no-run-through review for Almanac the Crystal Peak. This is basically going to be a pretty straightforward review as well. I highly recommend you go check out my review for Almanac the Dragon Road, because this is basically that. This is just that game, just with different gimmicks and different mini games, and kind of a different setting besides kind of like the desert or the Middle Eastern or Mediterranean kind of era. This is definitely more in your like higher north areas. It's a lot colder, a lot of like winterized kind of setting. It's called the Crystal Peaks, and yeah, it was actually really funny because I was thinking about doing one of those where I just re-uploaded my Dragon Road discussion and then just like dubbed over when I said Dragon Road and said Crystal Peaks, and then just kind of like put this cover over it. But I obviously didn't do that. So technically, this isn't like an expansion or anything. I guess it's its own standalone thing. If you're more interested in whatever theme that this is versus the other one, then I guess get this. But if you're not familiar, because this isn't an expansion or anything, Almanac the Crystal Peak or the Dragon Road is a worker placement game where you have a bunch of different mini worker placement maps that you play on over the overarching game. Whoever has the most fame by the end wins. And what you do is you always start off at like a trading post or something like that, but then whoever's the guide will decide which map to go to, and you always have two options. You have an encounter in between them, then you go to the new map, and that new map has like a different rule of how worker placement is going to work here. So there's basically that worker placement gimmick, and but you're basically gaining either more workers, you're gaining resources to then use those to complete contracts or to sell for a bunch of money, because contracts are worth points. They're also special abilities. You're increasing the size of your caravan, which allows you to hold more goods. Points gives you defense to help fight, and gives you more workers. That's kind of the general actions that everyone's doing, but then each location has something special or unique to it. And you just kind of do that over the course of, I think, 6 games. Yeah, 6 mini games, and then tally up fame points, and whoever has the most wins. When the first Almanac came out, the Dragon Road, I was very skeptical because, and this isn't really a dog on anyone personally, but this is from Colossal Games, and I typically do not like their games. And it's from designer Scott Alms, who I typically don't like his games, and that's just more of a personal thing. And I was so taken aback by the Dragon Road because of those main 2 reasons that I really liked it. And I was like, man, yeah, it's like an Almanac saga or a series, so I'm hoping that they just do more. I think more mini games are always going to be good for this kind of game. And I think he actually commented and was like, hey, we are actually working on stuff. So I think that this is actually really cool. I like the fact that there is another one, just because it's going to give you different worker placement stuff. And most of them work. Most of them, stick the landing pretty well. I can't really think of anything in Dragon Road that I was immediately like, oh, this is busted, or this actively does not work. In the Crystal Peak, there's none that are broken, but there are a few maps that I came across that needed more clarification. And this is kind of the overall issue with doing games like this. If you just want to have a bunch of just different mini games, then you have to really make sure it's crystal clear, because they put the placement rules, the setup on those. They're not in the actual rulebook. In the actual rulebook is kind of your overall, hey, here's your basic actions, and here is, how the game works, what you do on your turn, and then bar whatever the changes are on that. But sometimes, especially in this one, there were a few that we came across that just didn't make sense. Like one for example, there's one in here where for setup, it's like you have to start on one of the 3 blue spaces at the bottom, and I was like, but if that's where you go as a worker, you can't go on the same spot that someone else's. So if you're playing a 4-player game and there's only 3 blue spots, how does that work? So we just assumed, okay, well, yeah, then you can start out in the same spot. But then the rules of that one was then you have to place your next worker up to 3 spaces, available spaces. So then from that point on, then you can't go on the same ones, and you kind of hopscotch over each other. But stuff like that isn't clarified, and you run into that kind of a few times, especially in this one, and that can be kind of frustrating if sometimes it's not so crystal clear, or you have a group that just does not agree on the interpretation. It can kind of bog the game down. So that's just kind of what I feel is like a little bit more apparent in this one. We did also come across some that we just actively did not like the gimmick or the game. That's just kind of going to be what happens when you are playing a game like this. It's kind of like, the analogy I can think of is whenever you play like Mario Party, and no one actually gives a shit about the actual board part of it. Everyone just wants to play the mini games. But it can suck where you do the whole full round and you go, and then the random mini game is like, oh, this one sucks. But then you're like, okay, let's hurry up and get through the next board, everyone's round, so we can get to the next mini game and hope that we like it. That's kind of this. You come across a map that you don't like, or someone doesn't like, and then they're just kind of like, okay, yeah, hurry up, because I really want to go to a new one. So I don't really know the longevity of these kinds of games. It seems like both of these work really well on the newness, the excitement of going to a new map you haven't seen before, to see kind of what the rules of that one's going to be. Oh, how can they twist worker placement this time? And then I feel like if you played it a lot, then it might not actually be as fun to keep going to. I mean, yeah, you're going to go in different orders, but it's like, okay, but the substance of the game is not exhilarating. It is the fact of going to the new maps. So I think the original Dragon's Road I gave like a 9 out of 10. I think that definitely had something to do. I mean, the games are good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, this is a solid worker placement one, and it's fun. The encounters, there's a bunch of that. I mean, you're never going to see the same ones going from round to round, so that'll change. There's a bunch of contracts that give you special abilities, so that'll change how you play. And so there is enough variety between both the games that it does have legs. But it is kind of one of those, well, where you just want more Almanac games to come out because you just want to see the different types of worker placement. I think, and I don't believe you can't combine them as far as I'm aware. Like, you can't just combine all the encounter cards into one massive deck. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing in the rulebook that says otherwise, but I would just assume that because this isn't an expansion that you can just combine them. But with that being said, it plays exactly the same. So if you played Almanac the Dragon Road, again, this isn't an expansion. It's just a re-themed one with, I think 18 different maps. So 18 different games. If you're tired of the Dragon Road but you really like it, then definitely go check this out because it's going to be new, but you're definitely going to know how to play. It doesn't change really anything about that. And yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if there was a way that you could combine them. Maybe not content-wise, but in like an overarching kind of game where you can like mesh the maps together. I think that would be really neat. Where there's like an overall Almanac map where it's like, oh, okay, you can go to, if you go to number 5 in the Dragon Road, now you have options of going to these. You can go to 8 in the Dragon Road or 9 in Crystal Peaks, and then you can kind of hop back and forth because really the only thing you would need are the 2 Almanac books that I can really tell, and then the components on the side. I think that would be really neat because they have maps for the overarching like world that you're in. So like it looks like that, and you could be like, okay, well, we started at 1, so now we go to 2 or 3. And then 3 leads us to 6 or 7. 7 leads us to 11 or 10. And then 11 leads us to 14 or 15, and then 15 leads to 18 or 19. And I think that's really cool. I think it'd be really neat, again, if you were able to combine these into one massive map. So, who knows? I mean, Scott definitely does. It'd be cool if he sees this again and gives me some slight insight. I think that would be an awesome idea if they did a big kind of like Almanac, maybe mini expansion where it comes with rules to combine them. I still think this game has legs. I think that the Almanac, maybe not the Crystal Peak specifically, but the Almanac series, they can do a lot with, and I do like that. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think from playing this again with a little bit more clarity from the, oh wow, this is so surprising, I haven't seen a worker placement game like this, and since the Dragon Peak came out or Dragon Road came out into 2020, so it's been 2 years, I'm going to give Crystal Peaks an 8, and I'm going to drop Dragon's Road down to an 8. So still extremely solid if you just want a kind of like a fun, light, party-esque worker placement game. It's not a party game by any means, but it's lighter because of the gimmicky of the maps. Then I definitely I do recommend these quite a bit. So that's my thoughts on the Crystal Peaks. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.